Good morning to a glorious day 24 on site. It was Father's Day weekend here. People were meant to be on Sunday, unfortunately, but they didn't show. But it was Father's Day, so it's semi-understandable. I, however, was here. Anyway, so today's recapping off the back of last time we talked, which was Saturday. We're going to be finishing the corner here today, which is the footings. And we've also got to remake the smocks. Smocks being little concrete squares with wire through them, which we talked about. They're the things that are laid on the floor. The rebar sits on top of them, is tied to them to keep them off the ground by a certain height. They were made 2 1/4 inch high. They're meant to be 3 inch. So on top of that, they've left them out for the last 5-6 days, and now they've rusted. And as we keep on talking about, getting a process in place to ensure that there is no rust going on is essential. If you look at this, for instance, to give an example, so this rebar that's actually holding down the wood, that's all it's there for. But that was only there Friday and Saturday, and look at the colour of it already. It is literally orange. So just being out in the salt air rusts everything so quick. Today I've asked them to remake the smocks to the right height and to ensure that they're covered over, because tomorrow morning we are going to be pouring concrete. So the aim at the moment is to physically get the aim is to physically get the smocks made, the rebar done. The rebar guys haven't arrived those yet, and they were meant to be here on Sunday, but they didn't arrive, so they've got a damn hell of a day today, that's for sure, to try and get that done. And then what they'll be doing, baskets and laying them down here. So the smocks need to be made first. The smocks will go into the hole. The rebar cages will be made today by the rebar guys, and they'll be lowered in. So basically all of this has got to be caged all the way down, all the way around, all tied into each other. And then tomorrow the concrete guys will come in and they'll pour all the way around. Now apparently the actual pouring machines are fully booked, so I don't know what solution they're going to have tomorrow to get that concrete mixed and poured. So it looks like it's going to be a bit more of a manual process. But anyway, I'll show you what I mean by the smocks. They've emptied them this morning. So as you can see, first of all, look at the colour of them. So that basically, the rebar goes through, and these are tied to the rebar just to keep them off the floor by a certain height. But because we're in the basement, we need at least 3 inch, and they're 2 1/4. So we have to remake them 3 inch, and we need to make sure they're not left out to go rusty like that, because that will just spread onto the rebar in the concrete. And what you can't afford to do is have the footings blowing. So that's one thing they've got to redo today. Is over the far side getting sand and the material needed to do what he's got to do. And then it's literally trying to get the rebar guys to arrive so they can crack on with doing what they've got to do, which is quite a monstrous amount of work. But anyway, I've also got to go and look at schools today as well, so I'm going to be off site for quite some time. But hopefully today they can get to according to plan. So I'm going to speak to the project manager in a minute to ensure that he's getting everything done that needs to be done, and make sure that we're on plan to ensure that tomorrow morning we are pouring concrete, because I met the concrete guy yesterday and he's keen as mustard to get stuck in. So fingers crossed. Okay, so it's 3:15. Getting back from my jaunts. The rebar guys of a guy here. He's got quite a bit done. They're still using the smocks that I asked them not to use. In their defence, the other smocks need to dry, obviously, and they need a day to dry, so they obviously need to ram them out as quick as possible, but hopefully that isn't going to cause me long-term issues. So the rebar's now coming out of the footings. As you can see, boxes down on the far corner for the post. Interesting to see how much needs to go into the main floor itself. I'm not too sure how much needs to go into the floor itself. I'm sure they'll put something in. So I think it's to that extent. It's just the footings and the columns that matter still happening. So again, in this corner, it stretches to there and stops. So it's obviously made up that basket. That's in. Just not finished. But apparently the engineer has said that we can go 2 inches with the smocks. So I talked to him and confirmed that, because he told me he said 3, so I'm not too sure. It's changed in the meantime. So the other smocks have been made, we're just waiting for them to dry. As you can see, again, all rusty because they've left them out, but that's 3 inch. That's exactly how it should be. But anyway, I'll speak to the engineer in a minute and see what he says. If he says that it has to be 3 inch, then they're going to have to take them all out, which hopefully that is not going to be the case. But the site manager has basically said we need to be 3 inch. Confirmed it'll be 3 inch. And now he's saying it's okay to do 2 1/4. So I'm not too sure what's changed. It's probably just lack of planning and unpreparedness as always. So just get it done. So anyway, we're meant to be actually pouring the footings tomorrow, so we need to get that finished off. So fingers crossed. It's time now, 3:15, so another couple of hours. Hopefully he'll get in the right, he'll get knocked out. But it was actually meant to be a team of 3 people, and obviously he's working on his own. So there's just a lack of labour available at the moment, which is causing one of the problems. But either way, I'm not going to actually get the job done if we don't get the right labour here and get the right volumes and quantities sorted. So I'll check in a little later on and give you an update. A bit more detail on the rebars. As you can see what they're doing, they're bending the ends. And then the uprights now coming up. Basically the blocks will go over those. Once the footings are done, the blocks will go over. And then the blocks are filled with concrete. So you can see the smocks are actually tied to the side to keep them away, tied to the floor to keep them up. So that's all got to be washed off tomorrow, and then concrete me up. So tomorrow it's just going to be concreting up to here, so 10 inch all the way along. Nailing this in, and that is basically just to keep the actual, as soon as the weight of the concrete comes in here, it tries to push the sides out, so they just hold them and now they can to the floor, and then forward to them along to ensure that they can't be pushed. Let's hear a little bit closer look. So yeah, that's the start of it, and concrete man's coming tomorrow morning, so I'll update you as we go. Welcome to Barbados, 5 o'clock. We now got rain. Wow. So anyway, not quite finished. Guys are coming back at 6:30 tomorrow morning to finish off. So fingers crossed, we should be done and dusted by then. And then morning pour is what we're going to be looking for. First thing, that's the aim. So, end of day 24.